G'day, Joy. Welcome to Landscape Photography World. How is your day going?
It's going great, Grant. Thanks for inviting me. I've been really looking forward to this. So I look forward to having a good chat with you.
Excellent. I've been looking forward to having a chat with you for quite some time. It's quite exciting having you on the show and wanting to talk to you about some of the stuff you do and some of the conservation work that you're involved in, amongst other things. So why not let's get into it with who is Joy Kachina and why is she a landscape photographer?
Oh, why am I? Well, it started back, ever since I was a little girl, I loved nature, of course. But it started back in 1996. We did a trip around Australia with my partner, and he had bought me a Canon 1000 FN film camera, and we decided to do a year's trip around around the country. And it just started from there. And
Nice.
we travelled from New South Wales. We started in Coffs Harbour and then came down the coast and ended up actually in Tasmania. When we hit Tasmania, I discovered Peter Dombrovskis' work, which absolutely blew me away. It was some of the most beautiful wilderness photography I'd ever seen. And he became my inspiration. During that trip, actually, he passed away 2 weeks after we left Tassie that year, which was heartbreaking for many people. An incredible photographer. He was the first Australian photographer to be placed in the International Photography Hall of Fame back in the 2000s. So, yeah.
He's definitely someone I would have loved to have had the opportunity to talk to. Unfortunately, didn't start this until many years after he was. So, in looking at his photography, he's obviously a big inspiration. What was it about that sort of made you say, okay, this is something that I want to do? And in particular, also, I know you live in Tasmania now. Tasmania is where I want to be.
It was mainly the wilderness, the way he captured the areas that he went into. He carried 50 kgs of large format camera gear up mountaintops. He was an incredible man, very fit. I wish I was that fit. But it was mainly, I love the intimate landscapes that Peter created. You'll notice with a lot of his work, there's not a lot of sky in his work. He treated trees a little bit like a portrait of a person. And so I really loved the way he was able to compose. His composition was incredible. It wasn't a lot about sunrises and sunsets, which are always beautiful, but you'll notice that a lot of his work, it's moody, it's evocative, it connects you to the place that he's in. You can actually feel the spirit of the place through his photographs. That's what really inspired me. And here I am, like 30 years later, living the dream. So good.
Yeah. So let's talk about living the dream. What made you decide that photography was going to play such a big part in your life? Was it that sort of trip to Tasmania or a trip around Australia? What was it that really cemented that as a goal for you?
I just found that when we did that trip around Australia, I didn't want to be without my camera. I found myself composing all the time in that little rectangle compositions to share. Something I really enjoy is if I'm out in nature and I find something beautiful, which isn't in Tasmania, I want to share it with other people. I want people to feel what I'm feeling, to see and experience what I am experiencing, because I find that in this day and age, most people are disconnected from nature. They're more connected with their devices and things like that. And I find when I go out into the wilderness here, even just around home here, we have the Western Tiers, we have Iffy Forest Reserve, we have Pine Lake Conservation Areas, half an hour up the road, and we get snow. It's magnificent. But it allows you to just be at peace, to feel connected to something real rather than the noise, the white noise of the crazy world we're living in now.
And do you remember the first photo you captured that made you feel, okay, this is what I want to do from now on?
I do, actually. And it was a really moving moment because I'd moved to Coffs Harbour in New South Wales, and I'd moved down there on my own. I didn't know anybody. I have a background as a natural therapist. So I'd opened up my own clinic down there, and I'd gone for a walk on the headland just before sunrise. And there happened to be a pod of bottlenose dolphins surfing in the waves right there. And the sun just started to come up, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be amazing to see one of those dolphins leap in front of that sunrise? And I happened to have my camera, and sure enough, one just took off and just went right in front of the sunrise. And I thought, wow, I couldn't believe it. And that really ignited a passion for capturing nature in with moments like that. It was really special.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Talked a little bit about the emotional connection. How do your personal experiences or emotions influence the landscapes you choose to photograph?
I get really passionate about endangered species. During COVID, when we were all locked down, I was lucky enough, we were here, and I have a river at the bottom of my road that runs through town called Meander River. And we have a resident population of local platypus that live in the river. And I decided during that time of lockdown, we could go out, and I just spent so much time with the platypus down there. They're incredibly intelligent. They're curious. They will actually get to know you. They have the same intelligence as a dog, so that they get to recognize your face. So they got to know me very well because I was there all the time, filming them, photographing them. And that was this amazing connection with this gorgeous wild little being that really ignited, I think, more of a conservation role for me. Being here in Tasmania, we had issues around their habitat being destroyed in town twice. I had to be very vocal about that in order to protect especially the young platypus that were being threatened due to some really silly things that were happening.
Yeah.
And so from that, it ignited this passion that, actually, my photography, I was able to, the ABC News was calling, people wanted photographs of what was going on. It hit the local papers and all that kind of thing. And I thought, wow, you can really make a difference, even in a small local community, for positive change with taking some images, and because people impacted through that visual medium. So it was great.
Oh, amazing. That's awesome. I remember the first time I ever saw a platypus in the wild, seeing them in zoos and whatever, but that's just not the same. But yeah, seeing them in the wild and seeing them interacting is just amazing. And I can just imagine the first time you saw that, how exciting that was.
Yeah, it was incredible. We had Peter down in Hobart, the platypus guardian. He did a wonderful documentary with his connection with one little platy down there in Hobart called Zoo. That was on the ABC iView. You can actually see that Peter, once that was released, he had a lot of attention, unwanted attention. He's a beautiful, very humble man, lovely man, doing some amazing work down there to clean up the rivulet. So he reached out, and there was a German film crew that wanted to do a documentary on Tasmanian wildlife.
Right.
So they came up to visit, and we ended up doing a 2-year visit with them on and off, filming the documentary about what was happening here in our little country town here, and how basically one person can make a difference. So if you feel like, I don't have anything to contribute, it's just little old me, it's not true. Find a community project that you're passionate about, something, even reach out to Land Care or a land conservancy, something like that, because your photographs can make a huge difference in bringing awareness to maybe an issue that needs addressing so that we can help somehow.
Yeah, I think that's a great message, and something I feel quite passionate about myself is getting people to use their photography in whatever way they can to promote conservation efforts, because you don't do that and there won't be anything worth taking photos of unless you want to take photos of the decay.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be some huge project. It can be just one little species that maybe needs your support.
Mm.
By focusing on that and letting people know, hey, we need to put some attention here. It makes all the difference.
Absolutely. So that's obviously a big part of what you're doing with your photography. Do you think it's important to have those sorts of goals? Not necessarily a conservation one. I think that's very important, but do you think it's important to have goals with your photography?
Absolutely. After the platypus documentary, what we did with helping protect the platypus here now, seeing the difference that it made, we've now got over 1,000 native plants regenerating on the riverbank now compared to everything being stripped out. The project that I then moved on to, I was talking to a friend that I made here, a wonderful artist named Fiona Francois, and she's a lover of trees. And we got talking about the cider gums up in the Central Highlands, which is about an hour away from where we live. And we just dove in deeply into the background of these amazing endangered species. And so for a personal project, I just decided that it would be really nice to document these trees, considering that we're losing them at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
To show the differences even in a couple of years when their life force withdraws, their branches weep down. They're called the weeping tree. And I just started that as a personal project, but that's actually turned into now 3 of us coming together, collaborating for quite a big exhibition in Hobart next February. And we've got Bob Brown from the Bob Brown Foundation, our forest advocate. Go Bob, we love you, Bob. He's opening the exhibition for us. We've got the Tasmanian Land Conservancy CEO, Dr. Catherine Tuft. She's going to speak about the regeneration project with the Maina cider gums. It's fantastic. But when I started the project, I never even considered that as something that it would evolve into. You just never know where it will actually take you.
No, this is it. Yeah. And I guess not going into it with preconceived ideas, you've got freedom to explore and look at that in different ways and come up with your own ideas about how to actually work with those subjects.
Absolutely. And for me, my long-suffering husband, I love wild weather. I remember hearing you actually, Grant, I think you said, when the rain gets horizontal, you jump it back in the car, which is what
I tend to.
Normal people do that, right? No.
I don't think I'm normal, but
I'm so weird. I love the elements. I will stand in a blizzard as long as it's safe. I don't take any huge risks in that regard, but especially up in the Highlands, 1 minute the sun will be shining, 5 minutes later you've got this wall of snow coming at you horizontally. But it's absolutely incredible to stand in that landscape and see, for instance, the cider gums and how they endure this crazy weather, this amazing extreme weather. So I think if they can do it, I can. I like shooting in it. So I'll go and shoot in that. I shoot 95% of my images are all handheld. I love Will Patino because throws the tripod away, and I thought, oh God, at least I'm not the only nutty one.
Yeah, I think that's now possible technically, whereas say 10, 15, 20 years ago, that was...
My DSLR, I couldn't, but...
it was almost impossible to do, but mirrorless does certainly make that a possibility, and in-body stabilisation combined with the stabilisation on the lenses now, you can get up to, I think some of them are even upwards of 10 stops wide, and being able to hold steady for more than a quarter of a second or so is now a real possibility.
I know. I love that I can go into the forest and shoot at 1/5 of a second and know that it's going to be sharp.
Yeah.
It's whereas before it was always on the tripod.
I'm really interested in how you feel when you're out in the field. It's obviously something you're passionate about, and the cold weather obviously doesn't bother you. I'm just keen to explore those feelings that you're having when you're in the field and out taking photos.
I think when I go out, Canal Slark, my husband, literally the car is stopped and I'm out the door. He's getting all his gear on and I'm out there. I'm very intuitive when I shoot. I don't plan a lot. Sometimes we go back to a lot of places time and time again and think, okay, that would be amazing, this particular composition with the right conditions. So, of course, we look for those opportunities. But mainly I go out and I let the subject speak to me. I let the land speak to me. I take my time just looking, observing, looking for detail. The trees, the cider gums themselves, I challenge anyone to stand in the presence of these trees and not be moved in some way because they are so incredible. And so when I'm with the trees, what I actually found, and I didn't know at the time earlier on, because I've been shooting them for about 4.5 years now, some of the trees I would be around I would get quite emotional and I didn't know why. I just thought, wow, what's going on here? And later I spoke to some Kalwa Indigenous friends and they explained to me that some of these trees, when a child was born into the tribe, you were gifted a tree and that tree is yours. And you took care of that tree and you carved an opening into that tree for a time when later, when you lived on, when you passed away, that you and that tree would become one. You would, yeah. And so I'm getting tingles now. And I have been given permission to say this too. But yeah, so some of the trees that I really feel quite emotional around are those trees. They have a deep spiritual connection to not just to land and the people, but anyone that spends time there will feel that. So quite special, quite special.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing.
It is amazing.
How effective do you think do you feel that you've been with your efforts in conservation communication? Obviously, getting some attention from media and getting people like Bob Brown and so forth to come and join in. It sounds like you're grabbing quite a bit of attention. The local, I'm going to try and draw a little bit more attention to it, but I'm just interested in how effective you feel that you've been. Do you feel successful in that?
I do. I'm hopeful that working with the Tasmanian Land Conservancy, getting people interested in the cider gums, gets volunteers going into those programs, helping with regeneration projects and things like that. So that the more we can, again, visually impact people and let them know about a particular species that is struggling, the better it is then that we can then do something about it. So, yeah, I'm hopeful. I think I've got 3 exhibitions next year. They'll be the first exhibition that I've ever held. And I'm really looking forward to presenting the trees in a particular also because everyone, you can shoot a tree. I shoot trees like they're portraits of people. Very heavily influenced by Peter Dombrovskis and also Steve Parrish too, by the way. Steve's an amazing guy. He's 80 now. Yeah. With him come stay with us last year. We got to photograph his first little baby platypus in the wild, which was really cool. Steve, another incredible advocate for protecting our landscape and what have you, but an amazing educator. I think I don't tend to have the communication skills that these people have. No. I think that if my photographs can move one person to say, oh, I'd like to know more about this and how can I help, then I've done my job. And also, I love the fact that I get messages from people saying, Joy, I had no idea about these trees and I'm really excited. I've jumped in the car and I've gone up to the Central Highlands and yeah, they're magnificent. And how can I help? And so then you can actually pass on information that can then go to support that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I guess that means that even though you might not put forward words or talk about them yourself, collaborating with people that have those communication skills and the ability to reach more people, I think is an important part. And I think that's a real advantage. People that don't have that ability to be able to talk about their images, but you don't need to necessarily do that yourself if you can attract the right people to do some of that talking for you.
I've actually had some really great guys reach out to me. It's a bit of a boys' club in Tassie
Sure.
with our landscape photographers. But I've had the boys reach out, and we're just in the process at the moment, conceptually, of talking about doing a project together for our endemic Tasmanian trees. And what I love about it is the guys involved. One is Luke Sharkey. He is an amazing astro photographer. We've got Paul Holland. He's a drone aerial expert. We've got Andrew Phipps and Nick Monk. So between the five of us, I think we'd have everything covered. But we just all bring something different to the table and we see the environment in a different way. But we can also express how we feel through our imagery and hopefully touch somebody enough so that they can maybe get involved somehow to protect our native forests. Grant, they're doing some really crazy stuff down here, and I don't want to get into the logging debate or anything other than to say that years ago with logging, they would do selective logging, so they would take out one tree and the rest of the environment was pretty much left untouched.
Sure.
These days, the clear felling, it destroys all the plant communities around those trees. And if you've ever, I'll just move into this because The Hidden Life of Trees.
Yeah.
If you want to read a really great book by Peter Dombrovskis, incredible. It helps you to understand that you're not just taking out those trees, you're destroying a complete ecosystem.
Absolutely.
The wildlife, the habitat. And it can't continue the way we have to take some steps back and take a breath and have a look at what's happening.
Gets my goat about a lot of that sort of logging and forestry areas. And I'm not saying it's everywhere and I'm not saying it's everything.
But we need timber, we do. But
we do need timber, I get that. But selective logging is far better for the environment. The problem I have with clear felling is not only are they wiping that ecosystem out, but they're then replacing it with a monoculture of
monoculture.
But 90% of the forestry areas here that are clear felled then get replaced with pine. And unless they choose a native pine, there are a few that do that. They're usually not endemic to Australia. They're usually not necessarily even the best timber to be used for construction or whatever. So they're actually doing themselves a disservice longer term, I think, in the way that they actually operate. Anyway, political statement over my perspective.
I know. It has to be said, though, so that there's an understanding about the connection between the entire forest, not just the trees that they take out. Peter Dombrovskis, who wrote this book, The Hidden Life of Trees, he talked about how a forest is like a social network.
Yep.
That they have, so when the seedlings are born, those parent trees actually will support those tiny little saplings. It's all been documented scientifically now that they've seen that those parent trees will support the young trees. If there are nutrients missing or if there is a sick tree or a struggling tree in that family of trees in that forest, other trees will, through the mycelium work underground, will actually send sugars and things to that particular tree to support it. And they've even found that when a tree is cut down and the stump is left in the ground, those surrounding trees will still They feel the distress and they will actually feed that stump.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And that...
I've seen certain species, they won't do this, but I've seen some species, particularly gums, which actually will see sprouts come out of the side of a stump.
Absolutely.
And, okay, it might take 100 years to replace the tree that was there, but you will end up with that tree surviving and carrying on. And I think Dr. Karl Kruszelnicki, he actually refers to it as the wood wide web. Trees actually communicate with one another about their needs, and they do, as you said, using that mycelium net, they actually do support one another. And
yeah,
it is amazing that people don't understand that when they're working with forestry in particular.
Yeah. They'll even trees that have a sense of, say, like a plague, a beetle or something that's coming to attack a particular species of tree. The other trees will actually send a signal out through their leaves, through a chemical that they release through their leaves to alert the other trees in the area that there's a problem. That's incredible. It's really amazing.
Some people used to think it was mysticism and whatever, but this is actual science, and people have actually
science, actual science. Yeah. And it's great that we know more about this so that we can hopefully make some changes.
Yeah. How do you think your approach to landscape photography has been changed by working in the environment in the way that you do?
It's changed so much. Gosh, I had a DSLR and I shot with a 16-35mm with an ND6 filter on because I actually love seascape. But I never took that lens off for 10 years. That's all I shot with, which was my wide angle lens on a tripod. These days, it's my 24-120 and it's off the tripod, it's handheld. And I'm always looking for a story, some way to convey more about what I'm looking at. And what I've found again with those, because I'm so focused on trees at the moment, I'm looking at all the plant communities that surround those trees. And what naturally actually happened was when I was invited to collaborate with this exhibition that's coming up next year, I was actually in the field and I was paying attention to what was going on around me in terms of, for instance, with the cider gums, you have all these beautiful big dead trees all around you. But then you've got this understory of alpine, subalpine plants. And then you'll have this little sapling come up and it might be just a foot tall, 2 foot tall. But what I noticed was just naturally walking around the environment was that these little saplings did best. They thrived better when they had the understory in place, when they had those other plants around them to protect them from the extreme weather. And I thought, yeah, of course, that makes sense. So then I thought, how can I tell a story about this? And thank you, Nikon, because Nikon has an inbuilt multiple exposure function in their cameras. And so I thought, okay, let's have a little play with this. So going from like literally documenting what's in front of me to taking a more of a creative approach. And I've moved into doing multiple exposure in camera, using the subject, my subject, and then using those alpine plant communities as a texture. So I'm bringing together the two and just showing how important it is that relationship is between the elder trees and the young trees. So that's been amazing. I can't tell you how excited I am about that because I'm a really lazy editor. Like Lightroom is my darkroom and I don't go near Photoshop. Believe it or not, so everything is done in Lightroom. I'm too lazy to do layers and things like that. I love the masking tools, the radiant tool. I absolutely love. Yeah, I'm so glad that they upgraded that in Lightroom, but I've been able to then be really super creative and not have to rely on, not that there's anything wrong with Photoshop and doing layers. Like I think if people can do that, I mean, more of what they can do and create. But I would prefer to just do it in camera and then just let the environment decide what's going to look okay. And it has a really great overlay feature in camera, so I don't really need to do anything raw.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think you might need to. Sorry, go on.
It's just been really great fun to actually play with that and discover what works and what doesn't work and where to overexpose and underexpose in camera so that you can get what you're actually after. So
I think you might need to have a chat with Blake Rudis, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago. He's got some definite ideas about not using Photoshop versus just doing.
It's only because I'm lazy and I just
Get it?
I just can't be bothered. I want to learn.
I don't want to tell anyone how to edit their images. You edit how you want to, but he's got some definite ideas about, and I guess it's from his deep knowledge of colour and how that works.
Yeah,
In
great.
Photoshop and Lightroom, he could probably give you some reasons why you probably should use Photoshop a bit more. But
look, if I had the time, and maybe later down the track when I'm not climbing mountains and nearly breaking my leg and doing all that kind of stuff and standing in horizontal snow, I probably will have a good look at that. But for now, it's working for me and what I want to.
that's fine.
And I get really excited about even mixed media photography, like actually using encaustic waxes. And I just noticed, did you see Franca Gambler's posts over the last few days with the insights? Oh, I just love those. I love that she's doing that. And it fascinates me. So yeah, moving more towards being a little bit more creative in that way, because I failed art at school. So
talk to me a bit about that experimentation and the thinking behind it. You talked a bit about the way that you've done the multiple exposures, but I'm interested in that mixed media and where did you start thinking about that conceptually? Is that just experimentation, pure experimentation on your part, and you're just seeing how it goes, or is it something that you've decided, I'm going to go and do this and master it, and you're just working towards that aim?
Yeah, we started to play because I found when you're out there in nature speaks to you, it's always speaking to you, it's always communicating to you in some way. And I found that finding that connection between the symbiotic relationship between the plants and then bringing that, thinking about how can I bring that together visually so that I can express this story and how important it is. So it started with that, and then I just started to play. My husband, Mark, is actually fantastic at it. We ended up, poor thing, because he was always carrying my tripod. And when I got a mirrorless, we didn't need the tripod anymore. So we got him a DSLR, just an old Nikon. When did we get him? A D800E.
Okay.
And he started playing around with the multiples and doing a bit of ICM and things like that. And he was just creating some amazing stuff. And I thought, wow, this is great. Honey, show me, how did you do that? He's been a wonderful little teacher for me, just helping me to see beyond what I'm always looking at.
Yeah.
And then we jumped on and put some just into the search engine in YouTube, and Martin Osner photography came up. Have you heard of Martin?
I have, yes. I haven't.
I'd love you to speak to him. Oh, what an incredible guy. So he's using a lot of mixed media. He's an online course, which I'm looking forward to doing at some point in the future, but learning how to use encaustic waxes and photo transfers and all kinds of things to create something more. I think it's because I just want to rebel against my art teacher at high school. She told me how hopeless I was.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, prove you wrong. No, it was just someone like that when you're at high school, it can be really influential. So you take a step back and think, oh, I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to even attempt to do something like that. But the camera, because I can't paint and I can't draw, I use my camera is the way that I can express that creativity. So I get really excited about it.
No. Is success in your photography?
Oh, Success is getting people off the couch and wanting to get outside, inspiring people, uplifting people to maybe want to go for a walk in the forest. I know that I lived on Lord Howe Island for a short amount of time, and the amount of locals that had never been up the mountain, I was flabbergasted.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
It's just, are you crazy?
It's a bit of hike though, isn't it?
Yeah, a little one. But even just 400 people living on this island, and a lot of them
You've been up
been to this spot or that spot. But I was there for 4 months and I covered everything, and I
Beautiful.
couldn't believe. So I guess it's about inspiring others to connect back with nature. And that, to me, if I can do that, I feel that I'm doing my job.
Fair enough. What's a time when you've been out in the field where things didn't quite go as planned, but something unforgettable still emerged?
I could go into a horror story for you. Yeah, about women and safety in the landscape.
Yeah, let's go there.
Go dive into that one. Yes, it still affects me today. We moved to New Zealand for 5 years.
Okay.
I still consider New Zealand my spiritual home. I cried for 3 months when we left and came back to Australia, because I actually put down the camera because I was so sad when we left. Very special place. But when we moved there, the busyness of shifting to a new country and everything, we decided to go out into one of the national parks, and I said to my family, listen, can I just have 5 minutes to myself, with the camera? So I got the camera out, and they went a ways down by the river.
Yeah.
And I was just shooting on my own, and this car came by, and I got a really bad feeling straight away that I was in trouble. And so I packed up my gear super quick and just legged it towards my family. But they were about, probably 500 meters away, and they couldn't see me. And this guy came and he stopped me, and he attempted to kidnap me.
You're joking. Wow.
In his car. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I somehow was able, it's funny, when you're presented with a situation like that, hindsight's a wonderful thing, because you can consciously make decisions that would save your life, so to speak. But when you're in a position like that, your body just freezes and you can't move, you can't speak, you become paralyzed. Anyway, I think some angels were looking after me that day, right? And I was able to get away.
Okay.
He then realized that I wasn't alone, because he thought I was.
Right.
I found my voice and I was yelling out to my family, and finally was able to get away. We rang the police. We informed everybody. He was never found, but I would have ended up on the news the next day. So that impacted me in such a way that I could never go out on my own again. And that kind of broke my heart, because when we travelled around Australia, I would go out into the national parks. Everywhere we went, I would go on my own. I was completely comfortable being on my own in nature. And so it really created a problem for me. And that's why I love and adore my husband so much, because he's such a patient man, and he comes out with me and he never complains, because he's always in the car when it's snowing, whereas I'm not. So, but it's taken me 15 years to be able to go back out on my own again.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Scary stuff. And now I feel really comfortable. I will go out. I'm still cautious. I'm still looking. I'm still aware, but I don't allow that fear to motivate my decisions and choices as to whether I go out into the wilderness anymore, because it was just an unfortunate thing that happened. And unfortunately, there are people like that in the world.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, that's an amazing story. And I'm so pleased that you were able to get away, but I just lost for words in terms of...
I know. Sometimes we feel
something like that happens.
It's easier for guys. That's why I say it's all right for the boys.
Yeah. No,
sure, some men feel uncomfortable too. You would feel uncomfortable in situations as well.
Yeah, there are times when I've been a little bit uneasy, but that's usually because I've gone somewhere where I've know I shouldn't have done in hindsight, because the weather conditions were wrong, or I've not got the right shoes on, for example. That's just usually when I slip on that black slippery stuff on the rocks and end up on.
Have to be really careful about that. Yeah, I've landed. We were at Cradle last weekend and I didn't fall over once. I didn't fall over twice. Fell over three times and the boardwalk hard twice. It was just snow, icy snow.
Wow.
I was being super careful, but what was hilarious really was that the camera was okay. As long as the camera's fine, that's okay. But if I break my leg, hey, I'll repair, but I can't repair, or maybe it's can. Yeah, you just have to be mindful of where you're putting your feet.
What about a happier story, something that was truly amazing and made you go, oh my God, this is awesome?
It's just whenever we go out, really. I love snowstorms. I love going out and seeing how it affects the landscape. And I think it was that time earlier that I spoke of when I saw that dolphin leaping in front of that sunrise that really moved me in such a profound way. I've had so many amazing experiences. We were up at Mount Field last year doing some hiking through the Tarn Shelf area. And there's a beautiful kind of slope. It's a fair hike up into a ski field, and there's a lot of snow gums and things like that. I found this particular tree that I fell in love with, of course. I needed the right conditions. So I decided that we would come back at some point and I would want to photograph that tree. So this year I had to go through a little bit of a health issue with some skin cancer.
Right.
I had to have some radiation therapy. And halfway through, I was feeling quite down. I've had enough. And I thought, okay, Mark, where can we go? And I looked at the weather map and Mount Field was looking just delicious for lots of rain and cloud. And so we drove 4 hours down to Mount Field, and Mark had injured his knee. So he had to stay in the car park. So I hiked 2 hours up into this area that I wanted to find this particular tree. I had to stop every 20 meters because I was exhausted from the treatment. But I was just determined to get there, and something just kept pulling me up to this tree. And I got there. The conditions were beautiful. I got the shot that I wanted to get. But I just spent time and I was able to commune with all the other trees that I'd missed last time I was up there. And the track, it was like a cascade, a waterfall of water coming down. And I thought, am I nuts? And I thought, no, this is my happy place. This is home. This is where I feel really at peace. And it was one of the happiest moments. Even though the struggle to get there was difficult, it didn't matter because I was where I wanted to be. Yeah, it was really special. And that image ended up being one of the images in the folio for the Natural Landscape Photography Awards. So that made me really happy that image got into that particular folio.
Fantastic. What have you learnt about the world through photography?
It's always changing. It's never the same. You can go into a place 100 times and it'll be different. There'll be something else that you may see, you may have missed, something else to discover. I think that the world is an incredibly beautiful place and that we just need to, like I said earlier, just switch off and start to develop a relationship with the environment again in such a way. It brings such a sense of well-being into your life when you can experience just being out there in the elements, and it uplifts you, it inspires you. For me, it's been incredibly healing for me to go out in nature, and I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't change anything.
That's marvellous. What role does solitude play in your work? Do you prefer being alone in the field now? Or
other than Ma, it's funny now when we go out, he used to come with me, but now we split. So he goes one way and I go another way. And we'll come back and we'll find each other in an hour's time or 2 hours' time. And I do really enjoy just having that time to myself. But like I said earlier too, I'm looking forward to working with some other photographers on a project. And I think that's important if you can find like a group of like-minded souls that love doing what you do and sharing in that, but also finding a way to give back to nature in some way through maybe a conservation effort of some kind, or even just a local exhibition in your local town showing the beauty. When I first moved here to Deloraine, I was just shooting all around town and just posting on the Deloraine and Surrounds Facebook page, and people were like, oh my goodness, I never knew that we had this and we had that. So it's sharing, and then I think it inspired local people to go out and see more of where they lived. So that was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. What you said earlier about people not exploring their local areas is just amazing. I guess you think about it, people get caught up doing their own thing. It could be family, could be work, could be whatever. They don't think, as you said, to get up off the couch and get out there and take a look around their areas.
I had a funny story. One of the images I got into the Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year exhibition this year was taken 5 minutes from home here.
Yeah.
And all the local community, there were some people that shared the image and said, oh, Joy's taken this photograph. No, she didn't take that. Yes, you did. She did. You just didn't, you don't notice. That was really interesting. So yeah, I think you don't have to go far from home to find beautiful imagery. You don't have to. I'm 57. I'm pushing 60. I'm not 30 anymore. I'd love to do the Western Arthurs. I'd love to go up to Mount Anne and go where Peter Dombrovskis made his home up there and meet some remarkable trees up there. My knees won't do it. My knees won't do it. I'm limited in that way. But I still encourage people to just look in their local community and see what they can do to uplift and maybe, inspire people to get outside.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you think where you live now, or where you've lived in the past as well, has influenced how you shoot as well as what you shoot?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we're surrounded with conservation areas here in the valley, so I'm naturally drawn to the forest. I must say, though, that I do have another little project that I'd love to be focusing on in the future. And I think this may inspire you a little because I know how much you love beach photography and seascapes and things like that. But the northwest corner of Tasmania, around the Arthur River area there, Seratan Rocks, Cooter Rocks, that whole area there is just incredible. The geology and the history, the Indigenous culture, the history there, it's really special. So I'm probably going to focus on maybe doing something along the lines of some seascapes in the future. But that, for us, it's about a 3-hour trip one way.
Yeah, fair enough.
But for us, it doesn't matter. Just get out and do it. But yeah, we're in the middle, so we can go East Coast, West Coast. You've got beaches and the most stunning coastline. And then, we've got rivers and mountains and streams and all sorts of beauty where we are here now. Yeah. Tassie, it doesn't matter where you go. It's beautiful. When was the last time you were here, Grant?
Oh, many years ago.
You have to come down.
Before I started to get serious about photography. But
come on down. I'll introduce you to some lovely trees.
I definitely need to get back down there. There's some spots that I wouldn't mind revisiting. And I'm just trying to think, would have been probably 99, 2000, 2002 maybe, around about that time, I think. It was a long time ago.
I think your next trip should be down either to the east or the west coast. You would anywhere through that Bay of Fires region, all that region there, just takes you back.
We've spent a bit of time going up the east coast around Bow and
beautiful.
Some of the areas up there, and absolutely stunning. Being able to go out, and it wasn't midsummer, but it was coming on early summer, I think, when we were there, and absolutely deserted beaches.
Oh, it's incredible. Oh, well, we better not tell anybody about it. It is quite remarkable.
It's probably somewhere that I'd love to go. I'd love to get the motorhome down there, and so that we could take a bit of time. But
Yeah, you need a couple of months really to see,
Well-
to get a good visual on what's here, even though it's a small island.
I had a look at getting it over on the ferry. And the weird thing was that I could go, this was back when I looked, I could go next month when I wanted to go, and then I couldn't get off the island for another 6 months. Kind of like, I want to go there, but not quite for that long. I'd love to, if I could, I would love to spend 6 months there, but
Yeah.
it was just, that was a bit too much. And so
We've got a new ferry now. We've actually got, it finally arrived. So we've got a couple of boats running through now. So you might find you'll be able to come on, even in a few weeks.
it's funny, I think we had to book something like nearly 12 months out to be able to get 2 month time.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh,
It's very popular.
I can't plan that far ahead.
That's what it though.
I know.
We went back to the mainland 2 years ago now. We call it the mainland. We went back to the mainland. And just the traffic and how many people, and it was so hectic. We couldn't wait to come home.
Yeah.
We just couldn't wait to come home. As much as Australia, it's the most beautiful country. It really is. But it's getting busier and busier, especially in the East Coast.
It is East Coast cities and Melbourne and whatever.
Yeah, it's getting quite.
I don't mind Adelaide and Perth because they are still, Perth a little bit busier than Adelaide, I think, at times. Depends on when you go, but I like Adelaide because it's not quite. I think they have a peak hour which lasts about half an hour, which is about right. Whereas in Sydney, it lasts for about 4 hours.
Our peak hour here is just a couple of ducks waddling. It's really nice.
Let's talk about your processing. You mentioned that it's mostly light. Are you straight into it? Are you leaving things to think about and leave them for a while? What's your process when you get back from the shoot?
Normally we get home and I leave the card in the camera for a few days, and Mark and I will actually sit down together. Normally we snuggle up in bed actually. We get
Look at the back of the camera
on a cushion. And we'll go through and just go through. And I think it's about, because you come back with such a high when you come back from these experiences. And then sometimes I think the imagery may not fully convey what you felt. So you don't want to put a dampener on that. So we have that was fantastic. Like the other day, we're coming back from Cradle and they'd released some water out of a dam, and we were just driving across this river, and we've driven over that river, the bridge, 100 times. And the other day there was this amazing foam that was really like maybe 6 to 8 meters wide, just flowing down the river. And it looked like you were looking at maybe Mars, the atmosphere on Mars, or at the Earth from a satellite with all the cloud structure. And it was completely unexpected. And what was funny was we said, okay, today, let's look for creative abstracts. Let's just do that today. Let's focus on that today. And then bang, nature says, oh, okay, here you go. Here's some creative natural abstracts. So we spent a couple of hours just shooting this photo. And it was fantastic. But then we come home and 3 days later, I only just uploaded those to have a little look. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was really good. But yeah, I like to just sit and leave it for a little while, and then I'll go in. And I literally have thousands and thousands of images. I've got quite a backlog I haven't looked at. I shoot a lot. Mark shoots, he'll come home with 100 frames. I'll come home with 800 to 1,000 frames.
Wow.
That's the difference. Yeah. He's very patient, and I get FOMO. Oh, I might miss out, so I better.
Yeah. I'm a bit the same as, but some of that is because I'm doing wave photography. So I know when I'm shooting, some of them won't work. Wave won't be in exactly the right position, or it won't be exactly the right shape or something.
Yeah.
And particularly if I'm doing sort of short exposure really fast shots, and I've just got it on burst mode and it's going, oh, okay, there's 50 shots just of the one way.
Oh, much.
I'm only going to use one of them though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know far too many. I think I actually take far too many frames that I'm so curious. I use my camera like I guess an artist would use a pencil to sketch with. A friend actually recently said, explain that to me. And I said, because some people use their hand or they to compose or whatever. I just use the camera and I use it and then I'll delete and then I'll use it and then I'll delete. But then it's like a working process while I'm using the camera. And whereas Mark, he's more thoughtful. I think he puts a lot more thought into what he's doing. He's more logical. I'm more intuitive. So I work from my brain. Yeah.
Do you print much of your work?
I will be printing a lot of my work.
The exhibition.
Yeah, I will be. I don't print a lot. At the moment, we're actually in the process of hopefully converting a double garage into a studio space, and I intend to do a fair bit of printing. I've been looking at getting a new printer, a Canon. What do you use, Brett?
I've got a fairly old, it's only an A4, but it's a Canon something or other.
Yeah.
MX 376 or something, which is a multi-function, so it does scanning, even does faxing, but I haven't got it hooked up to a line. But yeah, so I use it for proof mostly. I basically get what I want out of it, so I can see, have I got the colours right, have I got the tones right, and then I will send it off to a printer and say, okay, here's what I want out of it. Have that conversation with the print service and they do their tweaks to make it work with whatever their colour science happens to be.
It can be quite tricky. I did a printing workshop with Paul Gammett, Simon Olding down in Hobart.
Yeah.
Oh, master printer, amazing printer down there with the thought of wanting to do my own printing. I won a printer a little while ago, a really good one, and I used it like twice and then we moved and then it sat in the shipping container for a couple of years. And of course it was done, the print head, and I couldn't get parts and it was a real shame because it was actually a really good printer. But yeah, I do intend to print more. Richard Young from New Zealand, he really inspires me with his printing work. Those guys, they do a lot of printing. Will Patino, he does some beautiful printing. But yeah, one day soon I will be. Yeah.
Where do you see photography's place in society, and what do you see as its future?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I know. It's probably one of the hardest ones I asked, and deliberate.
I haven't thought about that. I think there'll always be a place for photography, even with AI and everything coming into play, because people need to reconnect with what's real. So I think it plays a major role in allowing us to remember what's important in our lives. Yeah, definitely. And also capturing moments in time. Or even if you look back at portraiture and things like that with your family and your friends and things like that, it has a way of always creating feeling and emotion when you see an image. So I don't think AI could ever replace that.
Yeah, I can't see how typing a few words in to get an image, say you wanted to do the Western Arthurs when a tree. Yes, you could type in a description and it would give you a facsimile of it, but it's not the same as making the trip there.
Well, we're not robots. We're
the experience in and of itself is a part of the creation. And to me, that'll never go away for creative people.
No. In fact, I think they're one of the major influences of the creative process that we go through is connecting with our subjects.
Definitely.
Whether it's a portrait, if it's a wedding photographer or someone doing portraiture or whatever it is. For me, with the trees, I treat the trees like they're people to me. Trees are people, and I love finding the gnarly bits and their faces. Like we had a giggle the other day when we were in the forest on the King Billy track. There's some really old myrtles in there. Boy, you think we're the ones observing people? No, they're observing us. You should see the faces of these trunks. It was magical. It's like going back into Narnia or something. But you do find that with photography, it connects you to your subject, no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
And it uplifts the spirit, it uplifts the soul, and in that, it creates a well-being within yourself that if you are struggling mentally with some health issues or whatever, it's a sanctuary. It's a place you can go and just heal and be peaceful. Yeah. It's really good.
I think it's deliberateness. I don't know if that's a word or not, but the fact that you've deliberately made a decision to get off the couch and go out and
Yeah.
look for something makes all the difference to how you feel about creating. And to me, that feeling you can't get from typing a few words to a keyboard.
We're governed by the weather here. The elements, like where we live here, we look over the Western Tiers. I can photograph the aurora outside my living room window. This is how amazing this place is. And we'll get up in the morning and I'll say, oh, there's fog or there's snow or whatever. And I'm gone. I'm out there. And I can't imagine not being able to do that.
Yeah.
I'd be heartbroken if I couldn't. My camera's just has to come with me. I couldn't.
It's an extension of you now.
It is an extension of your creative self, I think. Yeah, definitely.
What's the best and or worst piece of advice anyone's given you?
Best piece of advice was from two National Geographic photographers in Milford Sound. We were staying in the same place many years ago, probably 20 years ago now. I had the opportunity to sit and speak with them over dinner, and I said, okay, if I want to do this, what's your advice? Buy the best glass they said you can possibly afford. So camera bodies, yay, but lenses, buy the best glass, the fastest you can afford. So that was really good advice. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. What about the worst?
Oh, I didn't think I had any. Try and stay nice and positive, girl.
That's fine.
I think I'm so rare. Can't really think of anything.
Okay, fair enough. What happens when you're not feeling inspired? What do you do and how do you get out of that uninspired mood?
I actually go for a walk. We've got a little spot here called the Wildwood by the river, and I just go out, and because sometimes life can throw you curveballs. Things can go wrong, stresses, anxiety, all that kind of thing. But I just go back out into nature and I'm inspired again. I think too, one of the other things I think that's really important to talk about with being a photographer and putting yourself out there. I recently finished a book by Sean Tucker. Have you read his book, The Meaning in the Making?
I've seen it. I haven't actually sat down yet.
Great book. I would recommend that book to everybody. It really gave me some good insights into how I tick. I could relate to a lot of what he was saying. And because I am an introvert, I'm not an extrovert. I'm not comfortable around people. I'm more comfortable around trees and forest and things. But also he talked a lot about being a recovering perfectionist.
Yeah.
And I really related to that because when you get to a point where you're constantly feeling like you're not good enough, I can't do this, I'm going to give up, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think we do that because we self-sabotage. But we're all good enough and we're all created beings, and we're here to express the beauty that inspires us, that uplifts us. And by reading that book, it really helped me to understand a little bit more and to basically get out of my own way and say, okay, I'm going to just put this out there. And it really doesn't matter what other people think. If it touches someone, if it uplifts somebody, just one person, one soul, I'm happy. And that's been really good because I pulled back a lot for about 10 years. I didn't put myself out there at all. And now I've just decided. In fact, thank you, Nika Boynton. She sent me a little message last year and said, hey, you should be putting some stuff in here. And so I want to give Nika a shout out because Yeah. That little nudge made all the difference for me.
Yep.
Thank you, Mika. And love you, Matt.
What do you like to do when you're not doing photography?
Look, I have this adorable little puppy dog. It is my entire world. Nico. He is just beautiful. And I'm actually a really avid gardener. We have I like growing my own food. We have a lot of fruit trees and a beautiful garden here. We have just under half an acre that we maintain. I do some bonsai. Mark's does absolutely beautiful bonsai. Actually, funnily, it's really funny how nature kind of works. We went down to Hobart when we first got here and we met a guy down there, Jared, who Montane bonsai, amazing bonsai. And he specialises in a lot of native Tasmanian trees. And I saw he had a eucalyptus and a gum. And I said, can I buy that? And it was just in a growing pot. And I thought, I'm really drawn to this particular tree. Didn't know why, but had to have this little tree. So I bought that tree, and only about 2 years ago, so I was halfway through doing my project with the main cider gums, he stopped in and he said, how's that cider gum going that you got from me? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, it's a cider gum. And I said, you've got to be kidding me. And so I have a cider gum bonsai.
Awesome.
Which was just amazing. I had no idea it was actually a cider gum. So I got him to go down and verify the leaf and everything else. So I just thought, isn't it interesting how the universe works?
Yeah.
They guide you in a particular way for whatever reason. So we always find ourselves in the right place at the right time.
Awesome. Are there any other photographers out there that I need to be talking to?
So many. Dave Sanderson. Have you read of Dave?
I have.
No, he's based in South Australia. So he's been a finalist now twice in Australian Geographic.
Yeah.
Amazing landscape. Especially, he had an image in this year under the Our Impact category, and not being biased, I think he should have won. It was just an amazing image. And so he's at Real Dave Sando. I'll send you the link. Brody Gamble, he's another amazing young guy he's based in Alice Springs.
Yep.
He's an astrophotographer. He won Astro category last year in Australian Geographic. An amazing young guy, lots of talent there. I've been talking a lot over the last 2 weeks, I met Hanneke Van Kell. She won the Projects Award in the NLPA this year.
Yeah, I've seen Hanneke.
Her work's breathtaking.
Yeah.
Absolutely breathtaking. She goes up into Lapland and shoots the reindeer but just the elements. The way she catches light and colour in the landscape is absolutely beautiful. Lizzie Shepherd, beautiful Lizzie from the UK. She's amazing. And also Martin Osner. If you can get Martin on, that'd be fantastic because he's a pretty special creative, that one. And he has the Art Photography Academy. If you're looking more into mixed media and learning more about how to play more and be more creative, he does an online course.
Fantastic. Thank you for those.
Oh, you're welcome.
Looking forward to Bowie, as long as they say yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that'd be lovely.
Yeah. I've only got the one more question for you, and everyone knows what it is. Do you like?
I do know what it is. It's a really sad thing, Grant, because I'm gluten-free and I'm dairy-free. I can't eat pizza.
Can't actually.
So if I could eat pizza, I'd say yes. I'd be definitely yes for pineapple. Why not?
Awesome.
Dangerously.
Definitely. It has been a joy talking to you, Joy. Thank you so much for being with us. Where can people find your work?
Instagram, of course, Joy Kachina Photography. I have a website. I'm sorry, I've just started updating it. Again, time is always difficult.
Oh.
So www.joykachina.com, and I'm on Facebook too, but mainly Instagram and my website. It's the best place to find me.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Joy.
Thanks, Grant.
Thanks again for listening to Landscape Photography World. I hope you enjoyed the show, and keep listening because I'll be joined by some great guests in upcoming episodes. You can find my work in this podcast at gruntswinburnphotography.com. I'm also on Vero, Photo, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to comment and subscribe because it really helps to get the podcast seen and heard. I'm Grant Swinburne. Hope to see you out shooting soon.